Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the MK4 Toyota Supra build. Today we're going to be installing coilovers and some new wheels and tires here. As you can see, we went with a pretty meaty setup in the back and then a staggered setup in the front. So that means the wheel and tire is slimmer in the front and wider in the back. These are going to be a temporary wheel that I got. These were readily available, so I figured I'd purchase them, and they were the right offset that I wanted for this car. So these are XXRs. I don't know exactly what I'll link it down in the description of what they are, but they're a multi-bolt pattern, which I don't really like doing. Like with these cars here, they're like strictly the 5x114 bolt pattern, which looks way better than having these extra holes in here and whatnot, and those are a lot stronger than these as well. But like I said, these were just a cheap set of wheels that I wanted to get going with the car in the meantime until I find the ones that I really like. For now, these will look good with these tires. We went with the NTO1s. They're 275/35/18 in the back. I thought 18s would be good for this car. These are 19s on both of these cars, and I think that they suit that, but the 18 suits the Supra in my opinion. And then in the front we have 245/40 R18. So that rear is a 35 and this is a 40 series tire for the sidewall, just because it works out to be the same, because this number here is actually a percentage of the width of the tire. Let's say if I did a 35 on the front here, I'd like the rear, then the sidewall would be super thin because it's only a 245, right? So I wanted the same height on both front and rear, so that's why I changed that number up a bit. But these will look pretty good on here. We're gonna get these coilovers, or all these old crusty things, off here. As you can see, they've seen better days. The rear as well, the boot is all ripped out and this one's actually leaking. So we're gonna take all that old crap off and then install these new BR series racing coilovers. So we're gonna open up these and then take a look inside. Or am I just looking like an idiot here? All right, so if any of you guys are anything like me, like opening new parts, taking a look inside the box, seeing what comes in, everything. So let's go ahead and crack these open here. So like I said, these are the BR series. They're a pretty good price for what they are. BC Racing has always been a huge fan of mine for coilovers. So it looks like this one is a rear. So as you can see, you can adjust here. This is your height. This is your preload on your spring there. Usually coilover companies will always have the preload set for you. So it's just a little bit of tension on the spring and you should be good. You shouldn't have to touch that. The only thing we'll be touching today is the height. You get it dialed in for these to see what kind of fitment we're working with these tires. So it looks like a good build quality. Pretty sure they come with adjusters for the rears too, for hard, soft adjustments for dampening. This one here is a front one. So as you can see the adjuster on top of it here, soft, hard, same sort of thing. We'll adjust them from the bottom here. You can just go up and down. Seems pretty straightforward. So let's get these all out of the box here and start with installing the fronts first. Okay, so we're gonna lower the car down here, open up the hood, and there's gonna be three or four bolts that access the top of this shock here, and then we'll get the bottom stuff out as well that holds on a shock. This should be pretty straightforward install. So we're gonna go ahead and lower it down, start pulling some stuff apart. Okay, so that was pretty easy. If you guys are looking for a little bit of a tip, what I did was I actually removed these here. These go on the control arm and they hold the coilover in at the bottom heim joint here, as you can see. So it's actually easier to take those out and you can get the old ones out without removing this arm here, because I didn't want to have to remove this control arm to get the old one out. I know you can easily get the new ones in, but just the old ones being a bit longer, they're harder to get out. But if you guys go ahead and take these off first on the bottom control arm, then it will save you a lot of room and time. So we're gonna go ahead and put these in at the bottom and then get some bolts started. now that we have those brackets in, like I was telling you there, we got quite a bit of room to actually push this up from where the originals were. So what we're going to do is put them down on jack stands, put the jack stands right below the ball joint here, get them up, and then we can throw in our new bolts in here. So, and like I was saying before, each bolt that comes out of this thing, we're putting brand new stuff in. All this stuff here with this hardware, it'll look really, really good underneath here. As you can see, I've already started doing that back here. All new hardware, everything's replaced here. All this stuff's been taken off and painted, exhaust shields, back subframe, stab links in the rear. So everything's looking really, really nice and clean under here. We're gonna drop this diff down and do the same thing with it. And then we're mainly focusing on the stuff in the front. I've taken off the dust shields, painted them all up. So yeah, this car is gonna look really, really clean underneath here. We're gonna go ahead and lower this down on the jack stands, get the suspension upwards, and then start these bolts and get our height dialed in. Okay, so we put the fronts in there, as you just seen, pretty good. We'll show you the whole end result once we get all of them put in. So for the rears, we're actually going to have to do some interior stuff. So there's a few plastic pieces that are actually covering over top of the hats for the struts. So we're going to go ahead and take those off. Then we can take some stuff off on the bottom here, the mounts, and then slip them out. Hopefully these things come out a little easier in the front, and then we'll slide the new ones in. So it looks like at the top here, as I was saying, just these here, these should be able to come off no problem. Move the carpet out of the way, and then that should reveal the 3 bolts on top for the strut towers. So we're gonna go ahead and take those off and then slide these struts out of the bottom.
I said probably help if I start the video.
Oh, you were just filming with nothing happening.
Yeah.
All right, Doss, I think we got all of our footage, and there's nothing on the phone. The job's done, and there's no footage of it. That's perfect. Something about working on these older Japanese cars, all these panels and stuff come off like they're pretty self-explanatory. Like all the new stuff nowadays, there's like 8,000 clips everywhere and like screws that are hidden and everything else. So far, this is a pretty easy interior to work with, just being an older car. It's not, the fit and finish isn't always as good as the new stuff, but to be honest with you, I prefer that because you can actually have a good time working on something instead of busting all the stuff around. So now that I have these all undone here, I'm gonna get Doss to go underneath. I got the last bolt, and then he should be able to receive the coilover underneath of it. There you go. Which way are we going with this thing? Oh, I see. I might have to push this down and go up with it again. This thing the other way here. If I can get this down and out, and then what I put into, perfect. Excellent. Nice. Yeah, that's good. As I was saying before too, since that one's a little longer than the new ones should be able to go in a little bit easier just because we won't have to push down on it and get more room for it. Gonna clean up a few things here first before we put the new one in, then we'll slip the new coilover in. Now that we have the rear all buttoned back up here, my advice to you guys is those little tiny corner pieces, You can get away with just folding them up a bit and loosening the bolts. I don't recommend taking them apart because they have clips on the back of them that are actually permanent with the panel. So to try and get those clips back and reseated, you have to like stick your hand in behind and it's not a good time, so don't do that. Learn from my mistake there. So yeah, we've got them all mounted up. We're gonna raise the car up here and tighten the lower bolts on the front and the rear that we put through. We're gonna try and set our ride height here with the new wheels and tires. Okay, so we have all the bolts tightened up underneath of it, and let me just say there's something so satisfying about putting new hardware and freshly painted parts all on underneath of it. Everything just looks so much better. As you can see under here, we got nice brand new suspension now, new hardware in there that got placed in. It's got nylon on it as well, so it keeps it nice and thread locked, and that looks great underneath here. The only thing that we need to work on now is this dip, but it's just a bit of surface rust because it's just bare metal. You're gonna have that happen. But the underneath of this car is looking really, really good with all this new hardware and everything placed into it. So now the ultimate test is put the wheels on and then lower it down and just see what the height is set, how these coilovers came, and then we're gonna adjust them if we have to. So as you can see, it looks really, really good at this height. This is the factory height that the BC Racing coilovers came in, and I personally think it's gonna be perfect because there's not too low here. It's just a little bit of a wheel gap. I might bring the front down just a tiny bit to get a little bit more of that rake effect, which is what I like with these cars. The back, on the other hand, is perfect, and the fitment is like almost bang on with this. As you can see, the tires are pretty well just nice and flush. Same with the back there too as well. So like I said, we are going to have to probably roll these fenders. As you can see, it's pretty meaty, but it almost sits pretty well flush like I was saying there. But I'm just worried if we do compress the suspension a bit there, we just want to be able to bypass that and not wreck the new paint that goes on it. So far, that looks really, really good. These wheels look great. I think it was a good option to go with the 18s on this car and a little bit thicker of a tire. It kind of suits it a bit more. So far, this car is actually turning out pretty good. We're still waiting on front bumper and side skirts. It feels really good to look at this car and see its actual potential now. Like, this thing looks awesome. Fitment on these wheels and tires is going to be perfect when we're done with it. Looks really, really good. Nice and wide at the back. Those tires look really, really good on there. This car looks so much better than when we first got it, as you guys have probably seen in the previous videos. The first video we made with this car of cleaning it up, and to now, the headlights, the side fenders, the wheels, the tires, the big brake kit, of course the wing and the side skirts and bumper, like I mentioned, they're on their way. Things are taking a little bit longer just because a lot of these parts are made to order. So if you order them, then they make them afterwards. They don't just usually have them in stock. So far, I'm getting pretty pumped about how it's coming here. The headlights look a lot better, that they're polished too. The next thing, like I said, as soon as I get those body panels, we're gonna send it off to paint. And we're gonna obviously have a video of kind of setting some of these side skirts and bumper and stuff on, and the wing. And then you guys will probably see it just before it goes to paint in its form, and then we'll get a good before and after of when it goes to the body shop. Yeah, overall, this car's looking good. I'm pretty excited. It's a pretty fun car to work on and see the transformation. We're gonna close the video out here. Catch you guys in the next Supra build update video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, hit the like button, and share the video if you can. It helps me more than you think. See you guys.